easily one of the strongest builds of this league. And what's better is that it's fun as fuck as well. You're simply spinning and then you're winning. And in this one, we'll cover everything you need to get it online. So if you want a fast, insanely broken and fun as fuck build, then you're in the right spot. A big shout out to my brother Ulfednar for creating the build. His socials are linked below, so make sure to check them out. Alright, first things first, how does the build actually work? Well, here's the thing, we're utilizing Whirling Assault to deal truckloads of damage, and this skill was already great last league, putting it somewhere in the ballpark of A tier. But then came 0.5, and with it, truckloads of buffs to the monk and the new martial artist ascendancy. And now, the build went from A to being possibly the best build in the entire game. Okay, so what exactly made the build so fucking busted this league? Let's check it out, shall we? Firstly, you can now have several Tempest Bells up at once simply by ancestrally boosting them. This basically by itself solves single target instantly. And if that wasn't enough, we're getting even more bells via the Hollow Focus Ascendancy node. But that's not enough bells either, because we also get an additional one attached onto our back via the Hollow Resonance Ascendancy node. Summing up all the bells we've gathered so far, we've got just about, a fuckloads of bells, all dealing massive amounts of damage. And if that wasn't enough, we also have the Stonefister Ascendancy node, which is basically an entire ascendancy in itself, and then the Runic Meridians passive, which too is basically another ascendancy. So, a pretty balanced class. Then when it comes to the playstyle, I'd play this build even if it wasn't broken because it's just fun as hell. All you need to do is hold down the Whirling Assault button and you're clearing the entire screen with each hit. Then for bosses, you just dump your bells in his face and he's dead. Yummers. Alright, you're definitely sold on the build by now. And if not, let's head on to the planner and check out the gear, because the build is playable on a budget for once. Your two most important items are your quarterstaff and gloves. For the former, all you care about is damage, damage, and more damage. Ideally, you would grab one with melee skills too and crit chance, because that's what we'll be stacking in this build. Crit, that is. And when it comes to the gloves, there are just loads and loads of great options. Something like this would be pretty ideal. And in case you're new, to get something like this, just take a look at the martial artist glove converters. I'll link a table in the description. But basically, for prefixes, you're looking for flat damage mods, as they'll transform into gain as extra damage. You can also grab energy shield and evasion if you need some extra defense. Then, for the suffixes, your best options are melee skill ranks, attack speed, which will transform into onslaught, and finally crit damage, which will transform into base crit chance. Just make sure you have leech somewhere, either here or on your rings. And when it comes to the rest of the gear, there's nothing special going on here. We're rocking an energy shield and evasion hybrid, so you just go for as much energy shield and evasion as possible on your armor. Then on the rings, flat damage modifiers are the best, followed by sorting out your resistances, and lastly, filling the remaining spots with item rarity. And finally, for the amulet, melee skill ranks along with defenses is fantastic, with an overwhelming strike anoint. I'll show it soon. What's great here is that you don't really need extra spirit, so finding a cheap amulet won't be an issue. For your belt, you either go for Rice Lathers for extra damage, a regular belt if you need resistances, or a Headhunter or Mage Blood if you don't mind getting banned for swiping. Hey, great job, friends! Gear complete. Let's head on over to the gems now and see what the hell is going on over there. Starting us right off, we have our main skill, Whirling Assault. All we really give a shit about here is getting as much damage as possible. To do this, we grab Heft for damage, Utter Lies for damage, and removing its mana cost, Ancestral Call to ancestrally boost it, along with Heavy Swing and Close Combat. On the left here, we have our Ascendancy skills. As mentioned, we use Hollow Focus and Hollow Resonance to generate additional bells. For Hollow Focus, slap on the Overabundance gem as if your life depended on it to get an additional bell yet again. Then, Cooldown Recovery, Concentrated Area, not only for the damage, but also as to ensure your bells don't spread out all over the goddamn place, then Culling Strike and Armor Break for more damage. In Hollow Resonance, we go for some extra life leech, cooldown recovery, AoE, damage, and a bit of an additional armor break. Both of these will ensure we break enemy armor and generate endurance charges, which is lovely as we'll be able to use all 3 different charges for charge regulation and get all of those lovely bonuses. The endurance charge here, and then Frenzy from Sniper's Mark, and lastly, power charges from Mantra of Destruction. To get some additional AoE, we have Staggering Palm, granting us additional projectiles. To gain the bonus, you need to use it on a primed for stun enemy, which is rather annoying usually, but the bells from Hollow Focus are actually always primed for stun. So once one of them are up, you just hit them with your Staggering Palm, and you'll get the buff instantly. We then grab Prolonged Duration so we don't have to refresh it all that often, along with Multi-Shot for more AoE, and then some extra damage via Close Combat, Heavy Swing, and Heft. As mentioned, we have Sniper's Mark to generate frenzy charges for additional skill speed via charge regulation. But we can also have it shock bosses instantly via Charged Mark, along with generating more charges and some leech. For Tempest Bell, here we just want truckloads of damage, some AoE, and most importantly, Ancestral Call as to empower it, generating additional bells. Alright, and then the final few skills. Wind Dancer for evasion with some extra blind, life leech and maim. We also have Mantra of Destruction here, which is how we generate our power charges. It works simply by you generating combo via all of your other skills. Then, we expend those combo via Mantra of Destruction, and as we do so, we have Aelith's Chimes granting us power charges. Finally, Refutation grants some extra defense, charge regulation we've already discussed, and Ghost Dance allows us to sustain our energy shield when we actually get hit. Good stuff. Next up is the passive tree, so let's go for it right away, shall we? For the Ascendancy nodes, we go for Hollow Focus and Hollow Resonance. It's not showing here, but you want this one? Then Runic Meridians and Way of the Stone Fist. And in case you don't have all of your Ascendancy points yet, then start off with Hollow Focus, Hollow Resonance, and then Way of the Stone Fist, and lastly, Runic Meridians. After that, we head on downwards to grab all the Hybrid Energy Shield and Evasion nodes, along with some damage, and the massive crit cluster near Resonance. Down here, we also find Spectral Ward, which is a great node, synergizing nicely for a hybrid evasion energy shield build. Up here, we also have some extra crit nodes and a Heart of the Well Diamond, where you just want to grab any gain as extra damage modifiers that you can afford. Then you can fill out with anything useful, like crit damage or rage on hit. And speaking of rage on hit, you definitely want it on as many of your jewels as possible, as to ensure you sustain full rage at all times. Once you have that, you can fill out with any damage modifiers that you can afford, where we focus mostly on physical damage and of course attack damage. Alright, next we head on downwards to grab these crit nodes, quarterstaff damage, and some defense, along with reduced curse effects on you via the Hollow Keeper. This is just fucking fantastic because if you pair this with a Rune of Warding that also reduces curse effects, then you're immune to temporal chains and all the other annoying ass curses. Okay, and next we head on down here, where we want to slot in any half-decent time-lost jewel or against the darkness jewel so that we may utilize all of these lovely nearby damage nodes to boost our damage. Finally, grab a bit of extra deflection rating and head on down to grab extra movement speed and skill speed, along with some damage and more crit up here. Lovely. And with that, we're just about done with the build guide. There's but showing you how to play the build left, and then I'll leave you to start playing. Oh, and we also have the Anoint over here, of course, don't forget that one. As mentioned, this build version has smoothness in mind. So for most of the content in the game, you can actually just run around and hold down the whirling assault button because the build has just that much damage at this point. But there are indeed a few things we can do to maximize our clear speed and damage. For starters, we have our Sniper's Mark. Use this every now and then to generate frenzy charges. The same goes for your Mantra of Destruction. Just use them when your charges are falling off. The Endurance charges, on the other hand, will solve themselves out automatically. Alright, using Staggering Palm is not mandatory, but if you want extra AoE, then use it on top of the bells around you, as it will instantly stun and grant you the buff right away. And lastly, we have the extra bells. Whenever you're fighting bosses, you want to drop down your Tempest Bell as often as possible when it's off cooldown and is ancestrally boosted. Doing this, you'll be able to nuke the living shit out of any boss in the game. And with that, we're done. Drop a sub, check out my man Ulf, and I'll see you in the next one.